Namaste, Dandavat Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa, Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are also paying our humble Dandavat Pranam to Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who has provided this wonderful commentary and translation for us. And following the guidance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we are praying to Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī. Yadi sevā-vañcitāḥ kṛpayā yasyāḥ kṛpayā vayaṃ labhema sarvaṃ prāpnumaḥ prayojanaṃ dhāmni śrī-bhagavat pade Kṛṣṇa-sambandhi sarvaṃ cha Yadi jānīmahe tutam Aṣṭādaśasu sahasreṣu ślokānāṃ bhāgavat-oktiṣu Rādhārānīṃ na vindāmaḥ tadā niṣphalaṃ bhagavat yayinam radhikaya kripam vina vyarta sarva-pariśramaḥ. If we are cheated out of serving that personality whose mercy awards us everything we need, including residence in the Lord's holy Dham and all things connected to Krishna, and if we cannot understand or discover Rādhārānīṃ within the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, then our study of Srimad Bhagavatam has been pointless. Without the mercy of Śrīmatī Rādhārānī, all of our efforts are in vain. Dr. Maddali, namaste. Wonderful to see you.
Nice to see you. Namaste, everyone else.
Oh,
I'm calling from Philadelphia suburbs.
you're in Philadelphia, okay. You have some work there, or what brings you out of Boston?
Oh, no. I'm in Philadelphia. I'm calling from my home.
Okay, I was under the impression you lived in Boston.
No. I'm Philly.
Okay, nice. So this is actually my mother, Therese Rolke here, and
Quite an honor to meet you. Wow. You definitely have given birth to such an enlightened soul. It's an honor.
It's an honor for me to be his mother, I'll tell you that.
then this is Swati, our dear friend Swati, who is helping our institute in Princeton so much, and we started a podcast recently about ecology and religion, about how our spiritual aspiration can actually help ecological action locally.
Oh my God. So is that you, Swati? Before this, I was just clicking on the podcast when I received the email. And then I get this WhatsApp. I'm like, oh my God, this is a Zoom call. To which one? And then I tried to wait and then I logged off. Well, isn't it funny that when every aspect of biology is a manifestation of ecology, right? How disconnected you would think, right? So I'm actually a cancer scientist. And I see the insult happening at the cellular level, at the healthy cell, how it becomes unhealthy. And I was actually talking to, Krishna-das, a few months ago, actually. But please continue. Oh, I'm going to hear to both podcasts. It is a no-brainer, and I hope humans get there. You become what you eat. You become what you eat. You become what you think. You become what you give.
What you consume.
Yes.
We will have to have you as a guest on the podcast.
Yes. Yes.
Krishna wishes that. Jesus, Allah, whoever, right? Every aspect of the manifested, sort of consciousness. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right.
I am so excited right now.
The universe is pulling all the best possible cells together. So yes.
And Kamala, I've been saying this for days and weeks and the last couple of months. Doors aren't just opening, they're flying off the hinges right now.
That's so true. If you guys observe, a lot of people are complaining headaches and everything, but if you truly introspect, it's actually the transformation that's happening. If you want to receive, you can receive. You just got to be ready. You don't need to be proven that something you need to see or just to sense it. That's it. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
nice to so nice to hear you, Dr. Maddali. I'm very happy. You speak Telugu?
I'm a Telugu girl, Telugu Ammaini. Sorry,
నేను
guys,
కూడా
talking
నేను
in
కూడా
Telugu.
ఎక్కడి నుంచి మీరు?
Kurnool. I'm from Kurnool and
Very
born in
nice.
Nellore. So, no,
Okay.
so, absolutely. So, it's quite an honor to meet all of you. And where are you from, Swati?
విజయవాడ.
Oh, nice. Been there, So one of my best girlfriends lives there, actually.
Very nice.
So Krishna
We'll
Das
meet.
and sorry, in this regard, because we are talking about the places we come from, right, Swati? I saw you both just recently went to India. Is that true?
Yes. Yes,
Oh,
we were there
Yes.
for 1 month, from Valentine's Day to St. Patrick's Day. We traveled to India and then to Thailand to meet the devotees and to ultimately go on parikram for Guru Purnima, the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We started in Maharashtra. We went to the Bhaktivedanta Institute office in Juhu Beach, where Sripad Puri Maharaj started out, and then we went to Vrindavan, and we met Sripad Puri Maharaj's first assistant from the late 70s, early 80s, Purnananda Prabhu there, and he took us on a yatra of Vrindavan and Sri Radhakund. And then we together, Purnananda met us in West Bengal. Then we went to West Bengal for this Gaura Purnima Navadvipdham Parikram. And then after that, we went to the Gupta Govardhan Ashram in Chiang Mai, Thailand, where
wow.
yeah, it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
And
My
don't
God.
forget, we had one night in the Eco Village in that was a great experience there, the
Yes,
Eco Village.
Eco
Eco
Village.
Village, where is it based? Eco Village?
That was in Maharashtra.
Oh my God, Swati, I don't think we visited. I didn't visit.
It's amazing. We only spent one night there. I wish we had a few more. It was beautiful. They had temples, a couple of different temples there, and they were just the teachings there of the work that they were doing. They were converting plastic bottles to oil. It
Wow.
was, yeah.
Yeah, pyrolysis.
Wow. Wow.
Pyrolysis. Okay.
Wow.
So
Oh my God.
it's
I hope I'm not hijacking the Zoom call.
No, this is great.
it's always
Wow. Okay.
it's
There's so
always
much
that
to.
we
Sorry.
realize the importance of our place after we move out. That's when we realize like how important our land is, and then what the things are that we missed. And then I'm like, oh
Mm.
my God, what did I do with my life for 30 years when I lived there?
No,
It's the
you
law
can
of
always go
right?
back and visit those important
I
places
am going to.
and
I'm
then come
going
back
to.
here. And then
Yes.
come back. Make sure you come back here.
Yeah,
Yes.
please
Yes.
don't come back to us.
Tulsi ji, I think you nailed it. Why? Because Swati, they say right in Telugu. Let me use అన్ని దగ్గరుంటే కనిపించదు, right?
కనిపించదు
If
అదే
everything is there in a jar, right? So it has to be dispersed. It's pretty much. So when you're far away from something, that's when I think you really have a better dimension and perspective as well.
that is true.
You are supposed to go through this. And
That's
then,
true.
and I agree with Tulsi that all the great seers really who saw that, it's one of the most ancient lands from archaeology, even mythology, philosophy, every aspect. So it's our responsibility to spread the knowledge, right?
Right.
Like Krishna did, right? So in our unique ways, whatever we can, whatever, it's our dharma, basically.
Maybe we'll do a field trip together.
You never know. You never know. Absolutely. There's so much life. Just, so absolutely. It's the moments that matter versus the quantity. It's the quality of the moments.
It's very interesting. The part of the Bhagavatam that we're reading right now is the part of fifth canto, which is so famous for giving the Bhagavat cosmology. And so, as Swati has already intuited so nicely, when we read the shlokas that we'll continue to read today, we're looking at it from an allegorical point of view rather than a literal point of view, because the descriptions of the different oceans on the different planetary systems, the oceans of liquor and of
Yogurt,
yogurt and
wine,
wine, then
milk.
how these are actually talking about consciousness, different planes of consciousness. And the whole point of Bhagavatam, like we read in the beginning, if we cannot locate Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī in Bhagavatam, then our whole study has been wasted. At first, that seems a little difficult because Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī's name is never mentioned in Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
But as Sripad Bhaktimadhava Puri Maharaj has told us, Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī is the pinnacle of rasa, of the relationship of the finite souls with the infinite, of the devotees with Krishna. So every time we encounter this science of consciousness, whether in the direct form of hearing a narration of devotees dealing with a sage or one of the manifestations of Krishna, or indirectly through these descriptions of levels of consciousness in the cosmos, then we're able to still keep that context of everything is culminating in Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī's love, and these other details are giving us a gradation of lower aspects of consciousness that are still relevant and connected in the whole that is Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī's love. So it's interesting to have our scientists here when we're reading this Bhagavat cosmology, because we need to dive deeper into this allegorical reading of this Bhagavat cosmology in fifth canto and how they're talking about an evolution of consciousness. This is very important seva, actually, because many devotees sometimes interpret this in a literal way, and it becomes confusing. So how we can offer an allegorical reading about the levels of consciousness and evolution of consciousness, that would be very nice.
Oh my God. Allegorical is beautifully said. It's Allegorical. Did I say it right?
Yes, Allegorical. Allegorical.
Are you kidding me? Allegorical. So it's pretty much like the alleles in the genes. Okay? So
Like, this is amazing. I'm watching the conference evolve right here in this room. We just talked about planning this year's conference with the scientists, and I see it evolving right here.
oh, absolutely. No, it will be an honor. I couldn't make it last year, even virtually. Kṛṣṇa-sambandhi was very kind enough to offer me. But that said, it's just amazing. I want to research how did the term allegorical come and how did even the term allele. So if you really think about it, one of the things that I'm actually seeing in the field of how do you apply this for the way of living? That's what that's what ancient India always talks about, using this way of living, right? Every aspect of this. So if you actually say that, you are communicating that about the evolution of the consciousness. Science is also going there. The more we are actually see, I have this little trinket as a reminder. Microscope. It's a squeezy, okay? So on my table, it's just amazing when we are trying to understand why. So, let's take breast cancer as an example, or even lung disease. Even though we say don't smoke, blah blah blah, all of this, it's right your hands to find. And there are several known and unknown factors that are happening from the environment. And that's where it's the big allegorical way of exploration. Why? It's actually beyond medical textbooks. So many of the factors that are documented as hallmarks of cancer, few decades ago. We are actually expanding it, like literally these how do I say, non-synchronous forces, which are not good for the human biology, right? So, and we are taking that very approach, but now with AI, we're seeing it's like, oh my God, we truly have to slice and dice the various conundrum of pathways. It's almost like a universe of pathways that are interlinked and leading to a damage in the organ, right, or a cell. So it's so important to understand the connection at the macro level, once again, simplified to the micro level. So, and vice versa, and vice versa. So that's exactly what we're seeing actually in oncology.
Yes, the macro and micro, right? So the development of the process of development in the cosmos of the macro is directly connected with the inner development, right?
Yes,
Of the person, of the collective of people, of the consciousness. When our consciousness on the micro level is in a very spiritually developed place, then the manifestation of the environment around us will also be transformed into it will be conducive to the further development of that spiritual development. The environment will never stay static and be antithetical to our inner nature. It will always reflect our inner nature and accommodate the further development of it.
So, you nailed it. Actually, one thing I got an idea was, I was supposed to do a podcast today with a friend of mine. It's the podcast. It's called "Talk to Yourselves," CELLS. Okay.
Yourselves.
So, and then we're talking about on this, in this discussion about the first thing is understanding yourself, SELS. Okay. So, understanding yourself, and then that's where actually everything what Krishna's consciousness, first consciousness, in it has talked about is like we are not just a lingering self, just born here, right, from this from our parents, and then do everything what you do, and then battle everything. But understanding the self is something I think you can bring so much in that angle. Is like how this self is actually connected to the greater self, right?
Swati and I just made the podcast episode about self-realization and deep ecology.
So that's the one I clicked. I was like watching 2 minutes and how do you connect it to the self?
Cells, definitely. Other way now. That's going the down.
That's where we need you. That's where we need you.
And we need all of us, honestly.
Yes.
Because honestly, and also how do you kind of really take that aspect in the self to self, right? And to the universal self, right? That's where actually, in our terms, in the healthcare, what we talk is individual health to global health, right? So that's exactly is what it really, And sorry if I'm always coming back to health, why? Because it disheartens me so much. And I was crying 2 days ago when I saw a LinkedIn post. 2-year-old battling with the bravest of the cancer, and a mother actually literally shouting on LinkedIn, praying on LinkedIn, I've ran out of every option, doctors, scientists, spiritualists, everything. And the first word I said to myself was Amma. Amma means mom. And then the second was she. I said, what's this? What am I seeing? And my hands are strapped. Other than sending healing energy through the great self. Not doing it. And the world is going to see more and more cases of cancer in science. So really, I think more and more education and knowledge is necessary in understanding the self and in connecting it to the self.
Yes. This is Barbara McClintock, actually, right? So Sripad Bhaktimadhava Puri Maharaj always brought this cellular biology back to the work of Barbara McClintock, the Nobel laureate from the 80s, who basically discovered transposons, or the jumping gene.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And she, during her Nobel acceptance speech, she directly said the challenge for the 21st century will be to discern how much a cell knows about itself. So this is very nice because she recognized that cells are cognitive entities, that they're not just mechanical conglomerates of atoms and molecules. And then the work that continued building off of what she established is this, what's it called? So James Shapiro from University of Chicago continued her work in the field of molecular biology, and he was able to show that the genome is not just, we hear about proofreading. It's not just a reading. The cell can also write on the genome, so it's a read-write system. The genome is basically like a mechanical notebook that the living cell uses to read instructions from past generations and then also edit those instructions for not only future generations but for itself. So the fact that every living cell is cognitive and on a scientifically, empirically verifiable basis is so important for showing the profundity of the Vedic knowledge, because, right, the Vedic knowledge has said for thousands of years that consciousness is all pervasive. And for a while, modern science was saying, well, consciousness only, if they wanted to talk about consciousness, it's only something that was an epiphenomenon in the human brain and nothing else. There was not consciousness or cognition anywhere else. But now we can say and we can see through scientific experiment that cognition is there in single cells, what to speak of the plants that they make and the animals. And then, of course, human being represents a very sophisticated, high degree of consciousness. But nonetheless, consciousness is all pervasive. And epigenetics, that's the field that came from her work. Yeah, epigenetics.
But when you're saying cells can write as well, they're not just in a locked mode, right? So you're the key. You got to unlock that, and what's the key? You need the right key again, right? And that's where actually one of the books that was written sort of in this concept, of course, more on epigenetics is Super Genes by Deepak Chopra and Rudolf Tanzi. Rudolf Tanzi is a Harvard world famous professor on Alzheimer's. So exactly, and obviously they went much more deeply about thoughts, food, how do you see the cellular changes and how do you see the genetic changes. It's just amazing. That's one of the books actually, what you exactly talk about. But you said it much more, you're so good at connecting science and spirituality. So that's something.
Sripad Puri Maharaj is the one who did all this for 50 years. I just am, telling whatever I learned from him. He's the one who did the work to put these things together, not me.
That's the humbleness that I actually honor in you. But yourself remember it, yourself have written in it, and yourself are communicating about it. Amazing.
So I feel like we can talk so much more about this, but this should be saved for our podcast episodes. So
Chris, we're not hearing you.
Yes, absolutely.
We're not hearing you.
You're frozen. You're frozen, actually. Hold on.
Yeah, I think. So, are you based in Jersey?
Yes, I am in Jersey, Central
Okay,
Jersey.
we're in New Jersey.
Princeton. Yeah, it's called South Brunswick, very close to Princeton,
Okay.
neighboring city of Princeton. Yeah.
Very good.
So let's try to read a little bit of Bhagavatam and see what magic awaits us there. So Dr. Kamali, a principle that we've also been meditating on during our Bhagavatam readings is that Bhagavatam reads us, not that we are reading Bhagavatam, that this sacred text is not just a text. Bhagavatam means the revelation of Bhagavan, and that revelation is coming through a text, but also it's coming through our inner response to the things in the text. So when we read something, all of a sudden we have some kind of a reaction to it. Something is surfacing inside of us that we may or may not have been aware of before. And so in that way, Bhagavatam is reading us. We have the opportunity to see new facets of ourselves and to self-evaluate if these things that are surfacing in us, we can look at them and say, oh, this is very interesting. Is this conducive to my further spiritual development, or is it not? And this is very nice that I can see this now. And before I wasn't seeing it, it was buried. And Bhagavatam has read us, has brought this out from us. So it's something to keep in mind as we encounter the unexpected nectar that Bhagavatam contains here. So
I love it. I love it what you said. Bhagavatam is really nice because I think that's why when the mother is pregnant, that's what they say that whatever the mother is doing, say bring repeatedly to the babies. And that doesn't stop them. It's the beginning of that. And whatever we hear, what we write, we become what we watch. And really, it's amazing what you just said. Oh my God, I'm going to make my family go bonkers now that I say the Parabrahman is really.
right. Very nice. Okay. So we are continuing from Canto 5, Chapter 20, Text 16. Nisampayobi kushadvitpokasa kushala kovidha biyukta kulaka samgya bhagavantam jataveda sarupinam karma koshalena yajante. The inhabitants of the island of Kusadweep are celebrated as the Kushalas, Kovidas, Abhiyuktas, and Kulakas. They are, like the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras respectively. By bathing in the waters of those rivers, they all become purified. They are expert in performing ritualistic ceremonies according to the orders of the Vedic scriptures. Thus they worship the Lord in his aspect as the demigod of fire. 17. Parasya Brahmana Saksach Jatavedosi Havyavat Devanam Purushanganam Yajena Purusham Yajati. This is the mantra by which the inhabitants of Kushadweep worship the fire god. O fire god, you are a part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, and you carry to him all the offerings of sacrifices. Therefore, we request you to offer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead the yogic ingredients we are offering the demigods, for the Lord is the real enjoyer. Purport. The demigods are servants who assist the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one worships the demigods as servants of the Supreme carry the sacrificial offerings to the Lord, like tax collectors collecting revenue from the citizens and bringing it to the government's treasury. The demigods cannot accept the sacrificial offerings. They simply carry the offerings to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Yasyad Prasad Bhagavat Prasada, since the Guru is a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he carries the Lord whatever is offered to him. Similarly, all the demigods, as faithful servants of the Supreme Lord, hand over to the Supreme Lord whatever is offered to them in sacrificial performances. There is no fault in worshipping the demigods with this understanding, but to think that the demigods are independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and equal to him, this is called hrita gyan, a loss of intelligence. Kamais taistar hrita gyana, Bhagavad Gita 7.20. One who thinks that the demigods themselves are the actual benefactors is mistaken. Text 18. Tathagato dhat bahi kṛṣṇa-dvipo dviguna-svamanena chirodena parita upakplato vrito yata kusadvipo gritodena yasmin kroncho nama parvat rajodvipa nama nirvartakaste. Outside the ocean of clarified butter is another island known as Kṛṣṇa-dweep, which has a width of 1,600,000 yojanas, 12,800,000 miles, twice the width of the ocean of clarified butter. As Kusadweep is surrounded by an ocean of clarified butter, Kṛṣṇa-dweep is surrounded by an ocean of milk, as broad as the island itself. On Kṛṣṇa there is a great mountain known as Kṛṣṇa, from which the island takes its name. Text 19. Yoso guha praharnan matita nitamba kunjopi chirodena sichamano bhagavata varunena bigupto vibhayo babhuva. Although the vegetables living on the slopes of Mount Kṛṣṇa were attacked and devastated by the weapons of Kartikeya, the mountain has become fearless because it is always bathed on all sides by the ocean of milk and protected by Varunadev. Text 20. Tasminapi prayavrato grita prishto namadipati Svedvipe varshani sapta vibhajya teshu putra namashu sapta riktadan varshapan nivesya svayam bhagavan bhagavata paramo kalyana yashasa atma bhutasya harishcharna vindam upajagama. The ruler of this island was another son of Maharaj Priyavrata. His name was Gritaprishta, and he was a very learned scholar. He also divided his own island among his 7 sons. After dividing the island into 7 parts, named according to the names of his sons, Gritaprishta Maharaj completely retired from family life and took shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, the soul of all souls, who has all auspicious qualities. Thus he attained perfection. Text 21. Amho madhuroho megha prishta sudhama brajisto lohitarno vanaspatir iti grihat prishta sutas tesham varshagiraya sapta saptaiva nadyas chabhikyata shuklo vardhamano bhojana upabarhino nando Nandana sarvato bhadra iti abhaya amrito gaha aryaka tirthavati rupavati pavitravati shuklati. The sons of Maharaj Gritaprishta were named Ama, Madhuruha, Meghaprishta, Sudam, Brajatista, Lohitarna, and Vanaspati. In their island there were 7 mountains, which indicate the boundaries of the 7 tracts of land, and there are also 7 rivers. The mountains are named Shukla, Vardhamana, Bhojana, Upabarhina, Nanda, Nandana, and Sarvatobhadra. The rivers are named Abhaya, Amritatoga, Aryaka, Tirthavati, Rupavati, Pavitravati, and Shukla. Right, so just to try to bring the principles that we said before about an allegorical reading of these texts, we keep hearing that the tracts of land are divided, or the river is divided, and then each of the divisions have these names, right? So if we wanted to try to explore what this was really saying in a deeper way, then I guess we would have to know what these names, right? These are names of personalities, but what do the names actually mean? What are the characteristics that these names are trying to communicate? And that may or may not be speaking to the nature of consciousness at this platform. And again, we always have to try to do these things in connection with a higher Vaishnava, because we don't want to just start speculating ourselves and then get lost and convinced of our own speculation. So we'd always have to refer back to someone who knows more and who is more established on the path of bhakti. But this is a potential way to start trying to unravel some of this. Text 22. Yasam ambaha pavitram amalam upayunjana purusha Rishabha Dravina Devaka Samgya Varsha Purusha Apomayam Devam Apam Purnenanjalina Yajante. The inhabitants of Kṛṣṇa are divided into 4 castes called Purushas, Rishabhas, Dravinas, and Devakas. Using the waters of those sanctified rivers, they worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead by offering a palmful of water at the lotus feet of Varuna, the demigod who has a form of water. Purport. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Apo Maya Asmayam. With joined palms, the inhabitants of the various sections of Kṛṣṇa offer the sanctified waters of the river to a deity made of stone or iron. Text 23. Apapurusha viryasta punantir bhuvasuva tanha punitamibhagni sprishatam atmana bhuvati. The inhabitants of Kṛṣṇa worship with this mantra: O waters of the rivers, you have obtained energy from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore you purify the 3 planetary systems known as Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, and Svarloka. By your constitutional nature, you take away sins, and that is why we are touching you. Kindly continue to purify us. Purport. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 7.4 says, Bhumir apo nalovayu kam mano buddhir evacha ahankara iti yame bina prakritir ashtadha. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 comprise my separated material energies. The energy of the Lord acts throughout the creation, just as heat and light, the energies of the sun, act within the universe and make everything work. The specific rivers mentioned in the Shastras are also energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and people who regularly bathe in them are purified. It can actually be seen that many people are cured of diseases simply by bathing in the Ganges. Similarly, the inhabitants of Kṛṣṇa purify themselves by bathing in the rivers there. So this might be a good place to stop for today. And it's very nice, right? So you see now in this shloka, it's connecting Kṛṣṇa to Jambudvīpa, right? Because when it says here Bhuloka, Bhuloka means the earth. So this is a verse, it seems that's establishing relationality between the levels of consciousness, right? Not that they're just independent levels, but there's relationality between those levels. So what the details of that are, I don't know, but it's just an observation, and it's beautiful, right? So proper that it's always being framed in the context of the whole, that everything going on here in these levels of consciousness, this is happening within Bhagavan, right? This is happening within the totality of that self-conscious entity. So we are energies, we are the Shakti, the Jiva Shakti, Tatastha Shakti, and all these planes of consciousness are happening within that Tatastha Shakti, because these planes of consciousness are for the Jivas, right? Even the Devatas are Jivas. Devatas is just a high level of material consciousness of a Jiva soul. So all these descriptions are happening within the consciousness of these Tatastha Shakti of Bhagavan, specifically within the Bahiranga Shakti. So there's 3 divisions of the Lord's energy, right? Antaranga Shakti is his internal energy. We read this in Bhagavatam just actually several readings ago. Or actually it was during a Saturday reading of Chaitanya Charitamrita, I think. Anyhow, there's 3 gradations of energy that are described of Bhagavan. We have the Antaranga Shakti, which is the internal energy. We have the Tatastha Shakti, which is the marginal energy. And we have the Bahiranga Shakti, which is the external energy. And this is likened to the ocean. Sripad Bhaktimadhava Puri Maharaj like to liken this to the ocean, the land, and then the shore. the beach, right? So the jivas are tatastha, they are marginal, on that margin of the ocean and the land. So in the ocean is the deep nectar of the inner life of the Absolute, of Bhagavan, where deep fulfillment lies in relation to the Lord, keeping this kind of consciousness. And then on the land, it's dry, and we encounter hardship, thirst. That's the external energy. So on the beach, it's actually a combination of both. And it has, so being that marginal potency, tatastha Shakti, we have the capacity for our consciousness to go in either direction based on our desire. And so if we go on the land, if we go to the Bahiranga Shakti, then we have this whole gradation of the external cosmos that's being described here in Bhagavatam. But when we go internal and connect to the Lord through bhakti, through devotional service, which is the ultimate culminating offering that the Bhagavatam is giving us, then we encounter even more diversity of energies, right? The readings that we were doing described, there is the samvit, samdini, and hladini potencies within this antaranga Shakti. That there is this eternal existence, the eternal pleasure. Existence is samvit, the eternal knowing, sandini, and the eternal pleasure, sandini, hladini. And these potencies are represented by Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī as the hladini potency, Krishna himself as the samvit potency, the knowing potency, and then Balaram as the sandini, the existence, the paraphernalia. So anyhow, these topics are very nice to meditate on, and they all connect. They all are giving a cohesive worldview of reality, which is very nice. And so thank you for sort of being here for us to meditate on these things together. I will close this shared screen now. We'll continue from text 24 on Friday. Okay. So before we close, is there anything anyone wanted to say or share?
I have a question. It's just wonderful actually about the three lokas, and kind of made me research in my brain about Swati with the Gayatri mantra. Yeah, same thing in the same three lokas, right? So, but then I like the fact about what the analogy that way of living practical issues. Water, ocean, land, and the beach, right? And it's just amazing. There's ways, this, what do you say, this experience in both aspects, but it's all interconnected. And I love the fact of the Rādhārānīṃ. So that the ultimate bliss, when I hear sometimes about I think Ramana Maharshi actually, he chose to actually pursue the Rādhārānīṃ aspect, so I was like, at the end of the day, even if I want to explore all these siddhis and lokas, I will still go through different patterns and cycles of the, the consciousness, right, or the illusion or whatever you say. But I would rather consciously choose to actually, explore all of this within me by connecting with the divine at the cellular level in my terms. Literally, believe it or not, this resonates so much with my own personal transformation and kind of helping to really seek much more deeply, really, so it was like about the path we are in. It's not an easy path, to be very candid, with the tools we have now, with the knowledge we are actually understanding. And then and interconnected, that when it comes to that interconnectedness, there's only so much you can decode it externally, and it's ultimately it's that path of being alone, not just lonely, being alone, and explore it and experience it. I hope I make sense.
Yes, I mean, we're trying to assimilate these teachings in our own unique way, right? Everyone has a unique relationship with the Lord. So we're the same, but we're also different. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva. We are one with the Lord as his parts, but we are also different from the Lord. That's how relationship is possible. Similarly, we are one with each other, but we're also different from each other. So that's why these teachings of the Bhagavatam are so universal, that they relate and are relevant to everybody, even though everyone is different. So we will assimilate those teachings in a different way, according to our relationship with the divine. And the only real principle that we should all kind of really try to stick to is, if we can assimilate these teachings in the association of the Vaishnavas, if we can try to do these together with other sincere souls who are similarly oriented, so that we can, I just saw yesterday when I was at Princeton for prasadam distribution, there was a bench at the YMCA, and I forgot this quote. I heard it many years ago and I forgot about it. It's an African proverb. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So I think that also relates to our spiritual development, right? Sangha, we need satsang, sadhu sangha. It's absolutely necessary for us to go far in our love of God, our pursuit of love of God. So even though we're different and we will all assimilate these teachings differently, still we should try to be together as much as possible.
No, absolutely. Very well said. Thank you for that, So, and if the recording is stopped, I want to talk about something.
Sure, I'll stop the recording.
Awesome, awesome. So, actually, I'm going to put my mobile number. I know you have it, Vishnu Das.